Hi, my name is Stephen Rogers, and I am a creative director in Rothco, part of Accenture Interactive. So we got in contact with O&E, who are the charity, through a client that we have in Rothco, the Defence Forces. So that's the Irish Army. And they're set up purely to try and stop Irish veterans from falling through the cracks of society. And their main frustration was they were invisible. They were invisible to the nation. They were invisible, and the work that O&E and the really important work that they were doing was also invisible. So they weren't really getting any support from the government or from the country. One of the big problems that we came across when we worked through the brief was that Ireland is a neutral country. So we don't actually fight wars. We are predominantly a peacekeeping force. We do a job that a lot of armies don't want to do. And we are actually one of the most awarded peacekeeping forces under the UN. Outside of the country, we are held up as this amazing force, but inside the country, funnily enough, we're not. We're kind of invisible and maybe not taken seriously enough. As part of the brief, we knew the two kind of emotional spaces that we wanted to play in were pride and shame. We're a very, very proud nation, Ireland. I think we're quite well known for it, Irish pride, and we wanted to tap into that. And on the other side, we wanted people to feel shame. Shame in these heroes were basically in the gutter. They had fallen on such hard times and nobody really cared and no one was really giving them the support. In Rothco, we put it up on the wall. So we made it available to absolutely everybody in the office, no matter what department you were in. And we wanted, we wanted the full weight of the agency to get behind this project. We had lots of ideas, but we kept coming back to the tricolour, which is the Irish flag, because it is the symbol of pride. It's the thing we wave when we want to show we're pride in who we are, in what we represent. It's when people are heroic in sports or whatever, it's the thing that it's taken out. It's something that it's just got everything. It symbolizes everything that makes us feel good about ourselves. And so it was something we just kept coming back to and we kept circling. And then we dug a little bit deeper into the flag. And we found that there was a huge amount of protocol around the Irish flag, especially if you're in the military. And there's all of these rules and regulations about how you treat the flag. And we just found this really fascinating. So we went through all of the protocol, and one that stuck out for us was there is a rule in the military that, and I think in general, that the Irish tricolour can never be allowed to touch the ground. So we thought this was really, really fascinating. And on this side, we have, it is the flag of our country. It's something that we're very proud of, but it is a piece of material, isn't allowed to touch the ground. But on this side, we have these heroes who have basically put their lives on the line for that flag, and they're allowed to touch the ground. They are in the gutter and they are sleeping on the streets, their lives having fallen apart. And nobody really cares about them, and there's no protocol around them, and there's no rules, and we just found that link to be really, really interesting, and we really kind of dug into that, and we looked for a symbol of shame. So we had the symbol of pride, and we looked for the symbol of shame, and we landed on, because we were dealing with homelessness, we felt the sleeping bag was that symbol. It was a symbol of you're sleeping on the ground if you don't have a roof over your head. That is, you are at the lowest ebb. You are at the bottom of the ladder. So that's when we come up with the idea to turn a symbol of pride into a symbol of shame. So we made sleeping bags out of the tricolour. What's more important, the flag or the people who serve it? So the lead up to that meeting, the whole team were nervous that this might not go down well, that it would be just too much and they would think that it was hugely disrespectful, because it was against everything that you were meant to do. But when we presented, we were surprised that they all just nodded their heads. It had gotten to the point that they felt like this was something that they needed to do. They had to go to this extreme to get people's attention to something that they held so strongly in their hearts, and they knew that was really important. So they said, surprisingly straight away, yes, let's go ahead and let's do this. Let's make this happen. So executionally then, we knew we had that symbol. We had a very, very small budget So we talked a lot about how do we get this idea out into the world, and how do we do it with a small production budget, but more importantly, how are we going to have the impact that we want to have? So we talked a lot about the power of an emotive image on social media. You know, those images that you see in the news that just hit you, right in the heart, and it just gets a reaction from you. And we discussed a lot about, how can we try and tap into that? How can we get that image onto people's feeds and get that reaction and get that conversation started without kind of owning it at the start? So what we did was we made the sleeping bags, and then the night before we launched the campaign, we got a veteran to sleep out on the streets, but we got him to sleep in a very kind of important location. It was at the GPO, which is the General Post Office in Dublin, in the capital. It's on the main street in O'Connell Street, but it's a hugely significant building historically. So we got our veteran, he slept straight under the flag that was above him in the sleeping flag below. And what we did is we got an influencer, somebody who was very active during the marriage equality referendum, all of the things that kind of made us proud, and we got him to tweet the image and kind of not associate it with a campaign. It was just the image of the veteran sleeping in the sleeping bag, and it kicked off the conversation. It started straight away, and this momentum suddenly happened that night, and people kind of had the conversation that we wanted to have back and forth on social media. The media totally jumped on it. The story was on all of the news media across all of the channels. It was the lead story in the 6 o'clock news. But we had our veterans there available to the news media to tell their story. And that's what we wanted. We wanted their story to get out there, what they had done for the country, but also the plight that they had found themselves in. The day after the campaign launched, the issue of veterans, Irish veterans, was brought up in government buildings in the Parliament.
Forces veterans are calling for more funding to be made available to.
I think I, like a lot of people, would have felt quite ashamed yesterday.
There are veterans who know more than most the power of our national flag, have resorted to sleeping on the streets of Dublin in green, white and orange sleeping bags.
So again, that was a huge thing. Again, it was just about visibility, about people talking about this issue and actually becoming an issue. Within 48 hours, the donations to O&E had gone up 4,500%, I think it was. So we had a text flag to donate mechanic, but we also had a tap to donate. So we had a sleeping flag outside the GPO after the campaign, and you could go up and just tap your phone to donate to the flag and to the cause. And also the government donated a building to O&E so that they could open another shelter, another home, I suppose. And again, which is, allowing a service to happen somewhere in the country that wasn't available. So again, catching those people, those veterans who again were falling through the cracks. There was a 200 grand donation again to refurbish the current homes that they had. The HSE, which is the health service here, became on board to try and help them help the veterans. So, again, they created a support network for the veterans. Even the smallest of things, and there was thousands of small things as well, like the electricity supply board in Ireland now pays for all of their electricities for all their homes. So it literally the whole nation kind of woke up to the fact that we have veterans and the fact that they go through horrific things for the flag and for this country, and everybody just wanted to help. They even got letters in from people around the area that didn't even know the shelter that they had or the home that they had in the area was what it was, and they just wrote to them and had, like, there was €20 in an envelope. It was like this, from the massive things to really small things, but it was just a general awakening of everyone knowing that this was a problem that was out there, and that the work that O&E were doing was absolutely vital, and it needed to continue.